This week on Business Without Bullshit, we're talking to Conal Conningham, who is the founder and managing director of Mr. Bug. Conal started life in the music industry, but had a massive pivot during lockdown and became the founder of a pet food business. All his pet food is made from insect protein, and not just that, it comes from his very own insect farm. Nothing like chickens, as far as I can work it out, where they make all the protein that goes into the pet food product. We talk about the sustainability of insect protein, why it's healthy and nutritious, and how it might be the only way to feed the world in the coming generations, and why in the West we still find it icky. We also talk about grants for small companies and the highs and lows of what it's like to be an entrepreneur in the pet food industry. Hello and welcome to Business Without Bullshit. We're here to help the millions upon millions of small business owners navigate the modern business world. I'm Pippa Sturt, and alongside me is my co-host Andy Uri.
Bonjour.
If you fancy watching us in action, just search for @BWB London. And if you like what we do here, please rate, review and subscribe on whichever platform you like. We're on all of them. It really does help us to get our message out to as many people as possible. Hi, Connell.
Hello.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much.
Connell, tell us how you're doing. Tell us what's keeping you up at night.
Well, probably doing everything. Or have I done everything? Have I done enough?
Is
it ever
the
enough?
role of a startup founder?
Yeah, it's just, it is just non-stop. Don't, be prepared to give up part of your life for it. It really
all
is.
of your life, isn't it?
Well, yeah, all of it currently. You do ask yourself sometimes, why am I doing this?
Is it just a team of one?
No, I mean, it's actually a bigger team. Considering the size that we are, there's quite a few people. I mean, there's myself, there's Paul who does the farming. And
you do your own farming as well?
Yeah, so we're farm. We source the shelf, really, is the whole idea.
Well, explain the product.
So basically it's mealworms. So we breed mealworms, which are the larvae of a beetle.
They're those like quite thick, fat, brown ones, aren't they?
I like to call it gold.
Gold ones.
They're quite attractive as far as grubs are concerned.
Okay.
Sexy mealworms.
Sexy mealworms. Grubs. So yeah, we breed them. So Paul does that. I do the marketing and obviously bits and all that nonsense. But we've also we have distributors we work with, and they help us design the product. And there's a bit of marketing and a bit of PR. So there's people. It's quite a lot more of us than just one. But I sort of sit in the middle doing an awful lot. I think we all do an awful lot to try and make it be the thing it is.
Why? Why did you start this business?
Desperation, lockdown, really. Because I've got studios in London, and we deal with the live music scene. Of course, during lockdown, that just died a death. And basically, Plan B for my wife and I was just to sell up shop in London and sod off down to Devon, where we could. I wasn't going to work at Tesco, so I came up with a new idea. And I'd always been interested in insect protein and sustainability. And I thought, well, we should try this out because the UK did not have anything like this at the time.
Why are you interested in insect protein? What's interesting about it?
Well, I travel through Africa. 80% of the planet eats insect protein. It's sustainable. It uses a third of the water, a tenth of the land of traditional livestock, and has almost none of the emissions. So as far as a protein concerned, it's really healthy and it's really good for the environment. And I think it's probably something we need to look at. I mean, the idea was to create a Plan B food, by having a highly intensive indoor insulated farm.
How do you actually farm a mealworm?
This is the other reason why we did mealworms, is because it's you can vertically farm it.
I just assumed it was because the word meal was in the name.
Well, no, you know what?
What kind of worm will we use? Let's use a mealworm.
Well, there's only 5 of them. 5 different insects you're allowed to use, but mealworms are one of them. They don't fly.
Whoa. What do you mean there's only 5 insects?
5 insects you're allowed to eat that have been allowed.
What, in Britain? You're not allowed to eat some insects?
No, not commercially.
If I eat a butterfly,
not deliberately.
Commercially, you can't
Yes,
release
you'll
them.
be arrested.
Wow. Why? Who cares?
It's ask the law.
Jesus, regulators of law. That's regulation gone mad.
Anyway, these ones have seen that they're fine, and also the main reason is they don't fly. There's no containment issues, so we could vertically farm, which allowed us to set up very simply and also expand and scale up very simply.
And how do you breed them?
Yes, yeah. So
do you have like a stud mealworm?
That's exactly what I was thinking about. Bracing themselves.
Yes. Obviously, we have one of those.
With a ring through it.
We
Holding onto their antlers.
bung a load of beetles into a tray, and
Right.
eggs come out, and then they obviously move.
Oh, so they're the kind of pupa larva form of some kind of beetle, are they?
Yes, a beetle.
I don't really know
Beetles
what
go to
mealworm is.
eggs. Eggs turn into tiny, tiny mealworms. Mealworms over the space of 13, 14 weeks get bigger, and then they can progress and they pupate and then back into beetle again.
Why is it so efficient? I mean, why, what animals or mammals, I guess we mainly eat, and fish, that takes a lot more energy, does it? But why? I mean, it's all scale, isn't it? You get a lamb is much bigger than a mealworm, you know. I can't quite work out the
You're not
mathematics.
going to be able to breed a milk cow in 14 weeks.
It's better to do kilogram per kilogram.
Okay.
Think of it that way, rather than the size of a being. It's actually kilogram per kilogram. There's a lot more insects than there are cows on the planet.
Yeah, okay. But don't they, I'm trying to think, relatively speaking, the insects have all got to eat just as much to get
What do you
the
feed
same
them?
size, no?
Well, they can eat. We feed them on wheat bran because we've got to adhere to regulation. But they're incredible bioconverters. I mean, one of the things we're doing with the Innovate grant we were given is to work out if we can put different types of feed into them and what effect that has on the quality of the protein, if any. So that means that that widens the range, and then we can look to legislation to try and change it. I mean, for instance, if we could use the algae or the plants that grow in rivers that clog them all up, if we could clear that and use that to feed mealworms, well, then we're on a winner.
They're less fussy. I guess they don't have to
They're
keep them.
not really fussy.
Yeah,
It's not fussy.
they're not fussy, and they don't have to keep their bodies warm.
Well, this is the other great thing about mealworms that we found subsequently is they create heat.
Right.
So we don't have to spend energy heating them up. We create an insulated room and they create their own heat.
You said 80% of the planet eat insects.
Yes.
Is that like everywhere but Europe and America?
Yeah, I mean, and the reason why it makes a lot of sense. In these colder climates, our insects are a lot smaller.
right.
Whereas when it's warmer, they're a lot bigger, and so that's been seen as a viable protein source.
But where? What? I know China eat them. Africa,
India, China, South America.
I've never seen in India insects on sale. I mean, this is just.
I haven't been to India, but I imagine they do.
God, I've never found it on the dish. But it depends where we go.
Well, you probably haven't been. I would imagine it's probably thought as a very low cost food
Yeah, maybe.
in India. Africa's a lot more prevalent.
Yeah, and I know in China they are fat. It's called a famine. Not economy. If whatever for food is that they've had so many famines that because the soil in China is the most overused in the world, so they have huge failures of famines for longer than they've been cracking the soil for 5,000 years. Whereas our soil, actually, we've only been heavily farming it for a couple of thousand, so it's not as bad. So as a result, they get famines and eat anything. They're not precious about it. I mean, there's it's such an interesting conversation that.
Would you happily eat bugs?
Well, I'd like to break it down in my head because, as in, like, get over our prejudice or our barriers because it cracks me up that we'll only eat certain animals. Oh, well, I wouldn't eat that, but I'll eat that. So many people are like, oh, well, I only eat chicken, and I don't like eat. Okay, funny one is bunny rabbits. Well, there's loads of rabbits. We could kill rabbits and eat them. Deers. The other thing, if you want to eat wild venison, is the most ethical meat in Britain.
I blame Bambi.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's like, so many people are like, oh, they're too cute to eat. And you're like, what the fuck has that got to do with it?
I really don't care about cuteness. My thing, because I'm quite a fussy eater, my thing is like mussels. I don't understand how anybody eats mussels because they look so grim.
But this is what's so ironic. We don't want to eat something when it's too cute. We don't want to eat something when it's too ugly. So if it's too ugly, it's an insect and I don't want to eat it. But if it's too cute, I don't want to eat it either. I want to eat in the middle.
I'm happy with the cute shit. I'll eat
Well,
rabbits.
I won't eat octopus anymore.
Too clever.
Yeah.
Yeah, octopus are fucking
Fair
clever.
point.
Yeah, I agree. I don't feel comfortable eating octopus. But you must find it fascinating, the sort of... You got used to it now? Would you go into your farm and have lunch with, have a mealworm
In the
lunch?
warm.
I haven't done that yet, to be quite honest.
Yeah, but it's interesting. Why have we got these sort of barriers to sort of ickiness?
Well, I mean, ultimately, we process it into a powder, and it becomes just a protein powder that you can put into anything. So you wouldn't even notice it. And I would not be averse if needed, if there was a product there to having it.
Well, you can make fake meat made out of the.
Do you remember the horse meat crisis? Everyone's like, "Oh my God, there's horse meat in the supermarkets." I'm like, "There's fucking lambs in the supermarket. Those are baby sheep. Why are you worrying about horses?"
Sheeps are fucking stupid, though.
I mean, they're all cute. I mean, it's so fascinating
well,
how
especially baby ones. But eat lamb.
Yeah, it's like, oh no,
Easter's coming up.
Sheep are all right, but we eat baby sheep. It's so bizarre. So to me, insects are the answer for our society. You're suggesting we'll only get over our inhibitions when we're starving.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, one of the things why insect protein-based dog foods and treats, why that preconception is being overridden is because of the health benefits.
And presumably the dogs are okay with it.
Well, it's the health benefits. So basically, the vets now are recommending trying. If you've got a dog who's got allergies or dietary complaints of some sort, try insect protein because you never know, it might actually sort that problem out. For whatever reason, that insect protein it's a lot simpler and they can metabolize it better. So dogs have got problems. They're trying out insect protein. So people who would have had a preconception, it's also across the board. When we go and do these consumer shows, and the great thing about being called Mr. Bug is people know exactly what you do. So they come and see us and go, and they tell us about how amazing insect protein has been for their dogs. And then they buy products because I will only buy insect protein from now on. So that preconception is all gone because it's been overridden by the health benefits. That's what you need.
Yeah, I mean, again, having been veggie and getting a dog at the same time, I was like, I'm now buying loads of meat for my dog and I wonder how people square that circle, because people go, oh, well, you can have a vegan dog diet. Not really. I mean, dogs are incredibly omnivore because they've hung out with us so much, but they're carnivores who've adapted and they're not going to choose it. I just find it absolutely fascinating that we're sort of, lost on this topic. But you did an Innovate grant, which is a good thing. How did you find that?
Well, it's an absolute ball ache to do in the first place. I mean,
what did you do? A smart grant?
It was, yeah. So, but I've met a fabulous woman, Gia, who's an entomologist from Iceland, through some online chats. And conferences, and she has done this sort of thing before.
Entomologist is insect specialist?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know that? You do, because you're
it's
Greek.
All about learning.
Yeah.
So, and so she was very instrumental in writing it. She's a real brains and the science.
As opposed to an etymologist.
Etymologist, somebody who ate insects.
No, somebody that knows the history of words.
Is that really? Don't get those fucking confused. Anyway, I mean, Gia, I was going to say she must be Icelandic, which is a place close to my heart, as I work lots of Icelanders. They're cracking bunch, aren't they?
Yeah, good fun.
And then, I mean, because the smart grants for people's information, you've got to do something in the future that you wouldn't be able to normally fund yourself because it's too innovative or too risky. They give you 70% of the money. Is that where you've gone?
Yeah.
Once you've spent it, which is confusing. Although if you go to my friend Spark Capital, they'll give you the money. But
you've got to prove that you've got. Yeah, I think it's different abroad. I mean, that would be one of my gripes. I'm going to go on about. But yeah, the 30% that you have to find, especially for a small company, that suddenly means that you've got a massive amount of money that's gone towards research that isn't there to help you generate more money immediately.
Got to do it in the UK too.
Yeah, it's really good, and it gives you a lot of credibility. I mean, it means
interesting
because when you start a company up, you're just anybody else, aren't you? So when all these things give you credibility and means that people, it gives you validation of the company.
What's your long-term goal?
Well, long-term, it'd be really nice. I mean, we chose the pet product market because that was the one that's available to us. That was how we could commercialize. But ultimately, I really would like to be able to do protein for third world nations if we need to. I'd like to do it. I'd like it to be more involved in the food source in the UK. I mean,
people sell collagen in bags. Why can't they sell?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and it's not just.
I still can't quite work out whether I can do 5 insects. Which are they?
Well, they're mealworms, black soldier fly, crickets, and 2 others. I can't remember now. Or maybe it's 3 types of cricket. It might be. We
don't even
eat
it here. So when did they come up with the regulation?
Well, I ask Europe.
Oh, it's a Europe thing.
It's a Europe thing, and then we just ratify it. No. But that's why we couldn't. It was banned. So there's the few companies who are actually doing insect-based products for humans, for the human market, and then Brexit happened, of course. And they were then not allowed to. But it depended on which county you were in.
What, we then banned it here?
In certain governance, in certain counties. Not in all counties.
Fucking madness
Yes,
that we
but
go
we
backwards.
took back control, man.
Yeah, we took back control and went
yeah.
backwards. I
It's,
mean, it's so
it's
bizarre.
been cracking taking back control, I can't
It's
tell you.
worked so well. The thing in the news recently was all about you shouldn't be farming cows and sheep. You should be farming snakes. Apparently, snakes are a really good source of protein and much easier to farm.
But they're snakes and they're not cuddly enough. I like it. I like my
some
food
of
to be
them-
a bit cuddlier,
Some
but
of them
not
do
too
like
cuddly.
to cuddle, though.
Do they?
They do.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's very well put. A very tight cuddle. But isn't it
The last
fucking?
cuddle you ever have.
Yeah.
It's just fucking madness. Now, if we started bringing, so what I notice, especially with young kids, there's a lot of brainwashing goes on, isn't it? You know, we love animals, we take them to the farm, and then you call it different names, and then you get them eating sausages. Great. I think my son has kind of worked out at an early age that like, oh, I don't want to eat animals. It's a bit weird. Sausages, he doesn't know what's in them. So he's like, oh, I love these
I'm
things.
so the other way around because I don't eat sausages because I don't know what's in them.
Well, that's sensible. But you could put insect sausages and what you needs a lot of branding, doesn't it? It shouldn't be Mr. Bug. It should be like, you know, just something that sounds
You're
a
just
bit
telling him
marvelous.
how, like, he
No,
needs to
for
change the name of his
humans.
company.
For humans.
Oh, I see.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the sausage. That's the
Mr.
genius
Yum.
of sausage. You know, as Bismarck says, never tell them how we make our laws and how we make our sausages. You know, there's some huge truth in that. And we need to get you. Really, we should be educationally saying, right, shut up, all you old people who just want to eat semi-cute
I think we should
things.
just stop there. That works very well generally.
Yeah. We're going to now brainwash young people that eating insects is delicious, and they're not called insects anymore. They're called apple pies. You know, oh, I'll have another apple pie. You know what I mean? Or whatever. Mince meat. That's a broad term.
Yeah, Theo, it's not a bad idea, actually.
Yeah.
Just call it just something totally...
Totally different. Yeah, and because that's what they've done with the animals, isn't it?
Except for the people who are looking for insect-based products because it's actually healthier.
Yeah, but they at the moment they must be. Yeah, I mean, well, if we all came up with a word that we all knew, it meant what it meant, but
Healthy
the kids
food.
didn't know.
Healthy food.
Then we get them
Nuggets.
eating it. Nuggets. There we go. Nuggets.
Probably
Oh,
are that
there we
anyway.
are.
I'm just guessing.
Yeah, there we are. Nuggets, that's it.
But it's the genius of branding about how in life we get fed shit in all sorts of ways because of the way they package it for us. You know, I get fed shit on Instagram.
This is very in depth because you get fed shit, all kinds of shit.
Yeah. Well, it's the wrong,
Very
it's
sort of-
probably the wrong word, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're all eating up marketing bollocks from everyone and thinking, I wear this t-shirt and it's from, like, have you ever bought a Lacoste shirt? I mean, lovely
It's going
bright
to come as a
colours.
shock, but no, I haven't.
Right, I've done it twice. I did it twice because the first time I bought one, lovely colour. Everyone's like, ooh, you wash it even carefully. It shrinks, all the colour goes. It's an absolute piece of shit. And so I thought, well, that must have been a dodgy one. So I got another one. Same thing happened. I mean, this happened over years. Lacoste is a bag of bollocks. Sorry, Lacoste. It's your stuff doesn't last.
It's a lie.
It's a lie. It's a fucking lie that it's high quality. But we all, it's got a crocodile on it. Must be good.
Must be good.
You need to put a crocodile on it. Tell them it's crocodile. We all right with eating crocodile? They're not
I've
cuddly.
eaten crocodile.
Quite tasty,
They
actually.
do eat insects probably, so it's kind of...
Crocodiles eat insects, do
Yeah.
they?
It
Well, I
wasn't.
imagine.
I've eaten crocodile. I didn't like the taste of crocodile, and my theory with that is we don't normally eat carnivores. Like a giraffe, delicious.
Oh, right.
Zebra, delicious.
Humans, no good.
Don't know.
Yeah, I haven't gone there yet.
Would you eat a human?
Well, I think you'd be mad if you're in the situation where you needed to and you didn't.
I
and
think
it was
so
there.
too. I think there's, I had this silly business
You will
idea
go
for years.
viral if you start recommending anthropophagy to people.
God, stop coming up with these Greek terms, but they're perfect. Call it. No, but I had the accidental meat company where we take everything, every horse that keeled over, all the
Every
roadkill.
person that steps on a
Oh,
landmine.
yeah, exactly. They died young. No one wanted their body. We just chop them up.
Yeah,
feed
I was
them.
thinking more in a plane crash Andes kind of
Yes,
situation.
That's the one.
norm. That is
Yeah.
that and the Donner Party,
Yeah.
which I don't know why the people that there's a like a Doner kebab chain that has started in London. I don't know why they haven't called it the Donner Party because I so would. Do you know about the Donner Party?
No.
Like in the Gold Rush, somewhere around the Gold Rush years, a whole wagon train ended up taking a path through the Rockies that ended in a dead end. It was the middle of winter, and they ended up eating each other.
Wow.
And a few of them came down in the summer and were kind of like ostracized for years because they'd eaten the rest of them.
What's the biggest problem in this industry then?
Probably the price of making the protein.
It's expensive.
Yeah, it is expensive.
Even though
I
they
thought
feed
it
themselves.
used less food, less water, less this, less light, less heat.
I think like the problem is, this is a protein source, and you've got soy that is made on the scale that it is. So if you want to use it as feed, for instance, so one of part of getting grants and the rest of it is to be able to, how can we find another way of feeding our animals, our livestock? Insects has been tried out, but the problem is that when you've got soy, which of course is a planet wrecker,
because it uses so much water or something.
well, it uses a lot of forest.
Is that what soy is?
So
Is it a more high quality protein as well than soy or not?
Yeah, it's better quality, but it's the price of everything. But also you have to look at farming. It's on a massive scale. Insect farming is done indoors, but it's nothing on the scale. And so it needs mechanization. It needs technology to make it happen. Doing it on a small scale, like any farm, it's like, it's like using your allotment to try and feed yourself. It's great. It's lovely, but it's not really cost efficient compared to going to the supermarket.
I mean, soy, what does soy even look like? It's a little plant, is it?
It's soybeans.
It's a bean.
Yeah,
and then
it
we
gets
press
crushed
the
up
bean.
and it gets turned into a powder and it's used in all sorts of
And
stuff.
then you either have, like you get temper where you can kind of see the beans.
And it's bad for the planet because we tend to flatten forests to grow it, do we?
Yeah.
Okay, but it's cheaper than insects.
Massively.
The other one that's amazing is hemp seed. Hemp seed is the most complete protein I know for a plant, and it's not again it's marijuana, but the thing I understand about insect is it's the most complete protein. Isn't it?
It is, but I think the problem is once again to do it the way that we're doing it. It's indoors. It's also it's not just about having a fabulous protein source. It's about having one that's insulated from the effects of climate change. Because if things do go tits up, it goes all very slowly until it goes really quickly. And there's that thing. So it's kind of preparation. It's not being doom scrolling or whatever, but the fact is that there's the potential and we see it happening. So it's kind of get ready and have a plan B. You should have a plan B.
Are you expecting? See, that's another one. Eschatologist.
Bloody hell! What's that one?
Somebody interested in the end of the world. Are you expecting the end of the world?
Not
soon?
at all. But I just think that sometimes having a plan B, having another escape route is not a bad idea.
And the escape route being you producing a protein source that you could switch to humans. Is that the long-term
I was
plan B?
talking to a scientist. I was at a conference a few weeks ago, and there's apparently this, I can't remember what he called it. It was something like a soy threshold or a soy ceiling. And
ceiling. I've got an image.
But the idea is, China growing, it needs cheap forms of soy. They are going to take it, and then there will be no
peak soy.
It might be, but the
Big
fact is
soy.
that protein, the lack of protein, is something that is actually really worrying governments. That they will not be able to create enough protein.
We don't need much, though. I mean, we eat tons of it. We don't need much.
But we need it.
Yeah, we need some.
So
yeah.
That's it. So anyway, the thing is. Yeah, it's the expense. You asked me, the problem is it's the bloody expense.
Yeah. Got to get these bugs working for nothing. That's the problem there,
What's your biggest fuck up so far? And what's it taught you?
Using too much of my own money.
Have you bootstrapped it?
Yeah,
so far?
I basically I funded a lot of this at the beginning, and because you really see the vision, you do it, and then and I borrowed off my other existing business, and then that didn't do as well. And so the problem with that is it just puts you into extra stress. So, and so you're just, it's another thing to worry about. It's another thing to lose sleep about. So
you've raised money now, have you?
Yeah, we raised money, investment last year, which is great, 130K on SEIS. And, hoping to do another round.
Yeah. The tax release, very helpful. And you're, do you think it's a question of scale? Of course, is the market therefore for these vets and people are now promoting it? Is the market growing quickly, or do you have a sense of that?
Well, they say. I mean, you look at the stats, and they say it's going to grow by X% up into 2030, and it's quite good growth. I think it is growing, and I think it's for the health benefits. I think those are the things that are really beginning to make a difference to people. I mean,
yours is a snack. Are you putting it
well,
in
it's a
mainstream?
snack, but this is the reason why we're going to bring out a food.
Okay.
Is that basically, and you can bang on about sustainability and about health benefits, but you can't really do it with a treat. You can do it with a food. But that was the whole idea of the last year, is to get feedback on what people were doing, why they were doing it, why does the brand work or not work, and this is what the feedback's come up with. It's like
what's the most popular flavour with your dogs?
cheesy one.
The cheesy one. It's got cheese in it. I assume it's not a bug
it's
that's eating
vegetarian
cheese.
lactose. No, it's not.
If you feed,
it's not
if
the
you
cheese insect.
Okay, because if you fed the bug
You were
cheese, would it
thinking,
taste of
if
cheese?
I fed the bug,
It probably would taste a
Well,
bit.
we wanted, if you give it magic mushrooms, what do you get? I don't know.
I don't know.
Magic
You tried
worm.
it?
some very enthusiastic mealworms.
Yes.
You get art.
They start
That's what
making
you get.
shapes.
Yeah, art.
They start spelling things out.
Yeah.
like,
Oh God!
the end of the world is nigh.
We're just
Then you're
connecting
gonna-
them all up together.
We know what you're doing with us and our people.
I was actually watching. Sorry, this is a massive diversion again, but I was watching something the other day about loads of different kind of bugs and caterpillars. Can't remember what it's called, but they do this thing where they join together in a kind of massive column to go places, and all of the bugs together, because they're all on top of each other, stepping down. They move a lot quicker than a single bug on its own.
Right.
Wow.
It's like a train. It's a train
like
that they're
a train.
effectively.
Yeah.
So this is a way of getting back from the pub together. If we give
Maybe.
each other,
Yeah. Just need enough of you.
you get enough
Yeah,
of us to
yeah,
sort of
enough
give
of you.
each other
Yeah.
piggybacks,
Yeah.
then
Yes.
anyway. No, it could work. Why is it? I mean, there's something creepy crawly about the leg. Is it, is it
It's
just
the legs.
It's the legs and the movement. There's something. Well, I mean, I wonder, this is the question we've got to ask ourselves. Are we hardwired to be slightly creeped out by insects, because we're hardwired to say that they're dangerous to us, they can bite us, they carry disease, whereas we're not hardwired to say, ooh, lambs are disgusting. We're hardwired to say they're quite cuddly and quite tasty. It's quite interesting. Is it something we can educate, or?
Well, I would say that, go to talk to someone who's from a country where they got loads of them, and they probably don't really care as much. I imagine.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Don't do it by your wife.
Yeah, yeah, really.
When you raised money, did you? I mean, so you've got? Was it just friends and family, or have you got of investors in your business?
Yeah,
now?
we've got investors. Yeah.
Do they like to give you advice?
Yeah, no, and gratefully, really,
Oh,
really.
you're not at that stage yet. You'll get bored of it in a couple of years.
Well, I do like to think that I don't know everything, but I realise there's people who know an awful lot more, and actually, I do. Advice is really cool.
All founders get to the stage where they stop answering the phone. I'll be honest.
There's a term for that as well in Greek, I imagine. No answeritis or something.
Fucking fed up, I think is the
Fucking
term.
fed up.
Yeah.
What do you put on the end of it? Anyway, and the worst advice. What's the worst advice you ever been given?
This is a great idea. No, trust me. That's the best. Trust me. Just trust me.
That's what you said to your wife, though, when she said, "Don't do it."
Yeah.
And look where we are now in
where we are.
receivership. Yeah. And I mean, we kind of touched on this, but what do you think is bullshit in your industry? And I guess that's pet food or bugs.
Bullshit in my industry, or bullshit in industry.
You can go either way.
I mean, I would say that actually part of the grant scheme it's great, but I would say part of the problem with it is that it puts massive stress on small companies. For instance, we did a grant to look into the effects of frass, which is the mealworm manure, and the effects it has on plants. But and you have to use a body that they have recommended, that the grant people have, RTO, and you can only use the people that they've said determine are okay. But rather than just pay them, and we're the ones who want to engage the research, but rather than just paying them directly, for some reason, we have to get invoiced and then pay and then wait for a reimbursement. And on a small company, once again, it just puts the stress, the financial stress and it takes money out of being able to use it.
It's a nightmare. I've got to big up my client Spark Capital, because they will loan you the money, the financial gap against Innovate
But once again,
grants.
it costs money to do these sort of things. And it's just,
I don't understand why they do it like that.
yeah, I would say
crazy.
that's one of my big gripes, is that if you really want innovation to move forward, and you've already been deemed worthy because you put a massive application in.
I think it's what's happened in R&D. I think what happens is if you give people the money, then they don't go and spend it on the right thing. And then people complain that people have done a grant and it's fraud and they've run off with 500,000 quid. And then R&D, their approach to the frauds that have been going on, people who've been setting up companies, making R&D claims and doing a runner. So they're like, right, to tackle fraud, we'll make it much more difficult to claim. We'll make it much less attractive to claim, and we'll just start investigating everyone. It's such nonsense. I mean, for me, I would take a view, which maybe is what you're alluding to say, look, whatever you do, there's going to be 1% who are arseholes. Just write it off.
Yeah.
The rest of them will be cool, and just give them a small amount and then make sure they do it.
I mean, when you write these grants, they're pretty complicated. They're pretty
Very
in-depth and they're competitive. So, it's not like you haven't jumped through the hoops to get there, and you can't just make nonsense up. So I just think there's a bit of a bizarre way when you're trying to engage and get entrepreneurialism and
because you're dealing with
innovation
civil
going.
servants, though.
Yeah, well, whatever. You asked me a question. I think that's one of the things I've found to be particularly, I just don't understand.
Is pet food very competitive? I mean, there are big players out there, aren't there? Like Nestle
it's massively competitive. I mean, it's worth 3.8 billion dog food alone in the UK a year. I mean, it's a massive industry, and so it's highly competitive. And one could argue that's the reason why dog food is getting worse quality, because it's a race to the bottom the whole time. Everyone's trying to, once again, market, do all that sort of thing, and lie to you about this is the best thing since sliced bread, and actually just making it full of more nonsense. Which is the whole idea about creating a really healthy food source. I mean, it might not be that insect protein is really good at all. It's just that we're actually putting natural ingredients into it to try and create something that dogs don't have a problem with.
Is that what's happening in dog food? What people are putting lower quality?
Before I get sued by somebody, that's what I perceive is a possible thing. It just seems to be, it's very competitive, I think.
And in my experience, a lot of these kind of sort of coming up to lockdown, there were a lot of kind of like new kind of trendy, like founded startup kind of dog food companies that then sold out to the big boys quite quickly and made a lot of money doing it. I acted for one of them, which I will not name. But, they made a lot of money doing it.
Yeah.
And then you discovered that actually there are 15 different brands on the market, and they're all actually owned by the same person.
Yes, well, that's generally, and it's very lovely to have these nice little boutique things coming along, and they try and tick all the right boxes and do all the right things. They get a great following because they are doing that. They get bought out by a big guy, but it was ever thus with business, wasn't it?
It's so bizarre that we get a dog that are cuddly and cute, and we care about animals and so sweet, and then we get lamb, deer, baby stuff. We crunch it up and we feed it to the dog, and we say, yeah, bunnies, we'll have a bunny, we'll have, this one's got rabbit and heart in it. Oh, delicious. My dog loves it. Oh, when you say to a dog owner, would you ever eat dog? Oh, you are outrageous. I mean, I've had huge rows with people when I was like, well, pigs are like that. That's why I wouldn't eat a pig. And they're like, horses. I remember having this conversation. They said, well, horses and dogs are different. And I was like, why? And they were like, well, they are. I mean, you're literally feeding baby rabbits to your cuddly dog because you're an animal lover. I mean, the irony is like, what the fuck,
When Romeo gets past his useful, prime,
it'd be unfit for dog food. As dog food.
Well, I just think there's something, I think you're onto something with insects, because there's something deeply ironic about people who care about animals, who bring an animal into this world, or, buy it, whatever, and then spend their life buying chewed up animals.
I do agree with you.
It's just weird.
I do agree with you, because if I don't really eat a lot of meat, not because I care about animals. I really don't give a fuck. I don't particularly like meat.
Yeah.
Right. But there is that kind of weird thing of a lot of people that really care about animals don't seem to care very much about human beings.
Well, there's that bit's even weirder, that we care. We would do anything for a sick baby dog. It's a bit like, it's like RSPCA. They proportionally get an enormous amount of money compared to a lot of charities, because we love cuddly things that we're feeding baby rabbits to. I don't know. It's so bizarre, the whole thing. Anyway, lovely stuff. Okay, welcome to the quick fire round. We're going to ask you some questions. You should know the answer to them. Just to get to know you a little better. Quick answers, please. DQ the music. Are we ready? And we're off.
What was your first job, Connell?
Shoving plastic lids into a grinder at a plastics factory.
Wow.
How old were you at this point?
17.
Wow. I didn't know where you're going to go with the shoving plastic lids into, but anyway, what was your worst job?
That job.
No dispute about that one. That was
Mind you,
straight out the gate.
recycling.
Great.
Yeah, good for the environment.
Favourite subject at school?
Biology, funny enough. It's the only one I enjoyed.
What's your special skill?
I am good with people. I think I asked my wife this one. She said, "Well, you're quite good with people." I said, "Oh, okay, I'll say that then."
I'll say that.
Very good.
What did you want to be when you grew up?
Rock musician,
What did your parents want you to be?
an officer in the forces.
Are they military family?
Yeah, Navy.
Oh, wow.
So,
Senior service.
What's your go-to karaoke song?
probably The Passenger by Iggy Pop because it's all on one note.
I don't
it?
think
Pretty
I
much.
know what
I
that
am
is.
the passenger.
Can't really
All
get
right,
that one
okay.
wrong.
Office dogs, business or bullshit.
Well, having had dogs, bullshit, because it was so stressful when they're around. They just dart out the door.
Yeah,
And
they're distracting.
yeah, and it's just...
They don't help out either.
No,
They don't do any
don't do anything.
spreadsheets, do
Don't
they?
do the washing up.
Don't do the washing out.
No, unfortunately, not for me.
Have you ever been fired?
Yes, by one of my best mate who was shagging my sister at the time.
Bastards!
Was that relevant to the firing, was it?
Well, not really. I was rubbish and I didn't give a shit about the job.
You think he would have wanted to keep you sweet and, you know...
No, I think that
Or does your sister hate you?
I think it went past that point. And
Did you say what she didn't enjoy last night, mate? What's your vice?
the pub?
Oh, good vice. Top 5 tips for founders, entrepreneurs.
Make sure of your investment sorted.
Say that again.
Make sure you have any investment you've arranged sorted long before you need it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a good point.
Yeah.
That is such a good point. I get asked all the time, you know, when people are doing funding rounds, how long is this going to take?
Longer than you think.
Is always my answer.
About 6 to 12 months if
Yeah.
you're lucky.
Yeah.
Always my answer. And then,
And then they reply though, sorry to interrupt, they always go, oh no, I've spoken to them and they said they can move very quickly and the DD is going to be done in a
No
month.
problem.
I'm like,
Yeah.
it won't be done in a month. No,
and then they get annoyed with you when you tell them the truth. You say it's going to be 2 to 3 months at least. And they're like, no, it's not. It's not. I want to do it faster than that. And then at the moment, because obviously we're coming up to the end of the tax year, I've got so far, I'm just counting them up, 7 clients going, we want to do our fundraise by the end of the tax year.
Hurrah.
We don't really know who's investing. We don't really know how
Oh my
much.
God, good luck with
we
that.
don't really know what our pre-money valuation is. But can you just start the documents? No, I can't.
Do you
You've
think?
gotta
do you-
give me some
Do you
info.
think part of it though is I do find the British quite slow decision makers. We've got this real faffy bit of us that when we commit, we commit. So if we say we're going to do something, it's our word, and we have to fucking do it. So we're terrified of saying anything. I don't know, the Americans and stuff, they do make it happen.
But if you're doing SEIS and EIS, the end of the tax year is a kind of hard deadline that if you want to get it into the year before,
yeah.
you've got to hit.
Yeah,
You've got to
yeah,
do
yeah.
it before that deadline. And the number of people that leave it till the last minute and then get annoyed because they can't get all their ducks in the row. And it's like,
Well, I have had a particular bit of joy with SEIS, and I've done submissions to HMRC's venture capitalist bunch, and they have lost our application.
the SEIS one or the advanced assurance.
The advanced assurance, they have lost it. Despite having the reference number.
But
That's
didn't
no
you email
surprise
it
with
in?
HMRC. I mean, you don't have to have it either, but that's no
Well,
surprise with
But
HMRC.
you emailed it in, right?
Well, it
So
was,
that you must be able
no,
to resend it.
I've got. Yeah. I mean, I've got.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just I've got.
It's just
yeah,
going to take another month.
yeah, and just when you've got people hanging around waiting to give you money, and then things change because circumstances
Right,
change,
right.
and that means that you potentially lose that
So my
investment.
advice on that, right,
Yeah.
is get another bank account that is just for the SEIS funds. So you're not touching it. You're leaving it in a separate bank account. You say to your investors, I'm holding it to your order, investor, until we do the fundraise, and get them to give you the money now and put it to one side. And then they can't, it's much harder for them to ask for it back than
Good.
to not hand it over at all.
Good
Or
call.
an ASA.
That's my advice. Or an ASA, an advanced subscription agreement, where they basically
That's what you might need.
give you the money now and you do the fundraiser a bit later.
That was 1, I think.
Sorry, yes.
Top 5.
Oh yeah, sorry. Delegate only to those people who are worth delegating to.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. That's obviously gone wrong. You tried to get the mealworms in on the job, did you?
Oh, just don't ask. Just there's a lot of idiots out there, it seems.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it a short list, the delegation list?
Well, it's not. I don't have an extensive people I can rely on, but it's just I'm going to put that one out there.
Yeah. Number 3. You don't have to have 5.
No, actually, don't let your idea or the concept or whatever it is you're trying to bring into the world too radical. Small steps. You can't make big jumps.
Yeah, it sounds a bit like don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's quite nice.
Like as in, don't shoot for the stars and miss the,
you've got
stratosphere.
People I found, and I've done a couple of these things, they will take certain steps of invention. They can't be too big. You've got to make them
Small,
so they can
steps.
they can see that this is actually something they want. Because if you make it too far, they just don't associate themselves with it. So I'd say that's one.
That's good advice.
Be prepared to give up parts or all of your life.
Yes.
Tick.
You aren't going on holiday again for a while.
Well, and actually, one for me that worked anyway is exercise so that you sleep. It's just,
but not in the evening. In the morning, people when you exercise late at evening, do you exercise? In the evening?
No. I'm blessed by the fact I can cycle in and out of work, so it keeps me sort of basically in check. But I just think that one helps you sleep, and that if you get your sleep, then actually you just do better.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, exercise.
Sleep is so important.
Business, not bullshit. Yeah.
Have you got any recommendations of things we should read or watch or listen to?
I did. What was it? It was Rory Stewart's Inside Politics. Is it?
Rest is
Politics.
Yeah, and I thought that was very good. Nice, insightful. Quite enjoyed that one.
So that brings us to the favourite part of the show, the business or bullshit Bob quiz. This is going to ask you a list of terms and phrases commonly used in business, and all you have to do is tell us whether you think they are business or bullshit, and we may challenge you, or
and you
can discuss.
You don't have to just say
no unpacking. We've banned that bullshit term.
What unpacking?
And we decided earlier,
you can
didn't we?
Expand on your answer.
Expand, yeah. You can do a journey of unpacking.
I'm not very corporate. If this is
well, let's see what these words are.
All right, let's go.
Personality type tests. Have you ever done a Myers-Briggs?
Oh, I have. Yeah, bollocks.
What did it tell you?
That I'm some sort of sociopath or something like that.
That's what they normally tell you.
If you'd had a more favourable result, maybe you'd be more...
I'd be in favour of it. Kind, generous, nice,
perfect
benevolent
businessman. Yeah.
So we're saying those are bullshit?
God, I unfortunately, I think it might be true. But I don't know.
I do think
I don't read them.
I don't know. I do think that...
I haven't seen anyone else's.
I've occasionally...
They might all look the same.
Yeah. Occasionally when going for jobs, I've had to do them. And then normally, they do normally get your personality. Like, they're like,
it's
your
personality's under stress.
Retentive
under
and,
stress.
Like your own way. Yeah, no shit. So does everybody. But, you kind of go, yeah, that does sound like me. So maybe they're good in terms of being able to judge.
You're supposed to plot them on a graph and sit and you want an organization with a broad spectrum of people. And interestingly, when we did it in this firm, this is years ago, like 20 years ago, we did it. My dad was kind of in the middle, which is a really good sign for a leader. And everyone was just around him in this really hilarious way, all of the top leadership team. But really, you don't want everyone in the same place. That is true. If you do them and they broadly say to you, you got this many autistics, you got this many ADHD, you got this many people who just care about people, and you got this many people who eat insects. You
don't want too many chiefs and not enough Indians. Is that what you're saying?
You want diversity, and that's all it's about of mentality. Anyway, planned obsolescence. You aware of this concept?
I am. I think that is something which is awful.
Yeah,
and needs to be sorted out. Planned obsolescence is absolutely.
It's a way of making money.
It's disgusting.
Yeah. But businesses worked out that they'd go out of business without it. That was the problem. So Crocs is a great example of planned obsolescence. They made a product that lasts 1,000 years. And then they sold everyone a pair of Crocs, and then they started going bust.
I did exactly the same thing.
Yeah, they then have sort of come back.
But at some point, we have to sort of sort ourselves out and decide whether we're just going to be making lots of money and not being able to eat or breathe or anything like that.
It's a tension of capitalism,
if
isn't it?
you can't breathe, I think
which
the money
way we're going to go?
It
doesn't really matter, is it? So.
But But I also think of planned obsolescence in the way I think of it, or in business, is that, the people that found a business are often not the best people to grow the business all the way through its life.
I agree.
And as a kind of somebody running a business, you've got to plan for your own obsolescence and have other people that can.
Oh, you think it internally?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Is it my go? Investment TV shows. Have you thought about Dragon's Den yet?
Absolute bullshit. Total
Would
bullshit.
you
Until I
not
go
go on
on it
Dragon's
next
Den?
month.
Oh, you know what? Our last product we did, my wife and I, we came up with, she's called it her invention. I say that we did it together. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Basically, Dragon's Den invited us on. It was this little device that pulled bags out of it. It was for shopping bags initially that you put onto your key ring. So when you went back to the shops, you had bags with you. The whole idea.
Oh, right, okay.
But it got taken up by dog walkers, because it's really easy to take a bag out. One bag comes out at a time. It's really, really simple. I went, Dragon's Den invited us along. I turned up there at the BBC studios, and they said, "Where's the woman?" I went, "Well, you got me." And they went, "We want the woman." I said, "She's not doing it."
Sexism gone mad, that is.
So I said, "Screw this." And yeah.
Oh, right, so you never did it?
No.
That is live sexism. Did you hear that, Pippa?
I did. I thought it was fabulous.
Imagine-
You should always want the woman.
Imagine turning up though as a woman
Warehouse.
and being said, "Well, where's the man?"
Where's the man?
Yeah, that's been happening for the last 80
Two wrongs
billion years.
don't
Fucking
make
patriarchy, man.
Two wrongs don't make a right, love.
Oh, fair enough.
Women know your limits. Anyway, China.
Not the crockery, presumably.
I mean, what do you want? I mean, yeah,
I want you to be taken down by.
He wants you to say whether it's business or
madness
bullshit.
that everything was thrown over there. I mean, I still ponder at it. I mean, once again, let's just profit over any common sense and really short-sighted.
Lots of planned
Are we
obsolescence
saying
came out of
bullshit?
China.
Yeah.
Are we calling
Yeah, we're
bullshit
calling
on China?
bullshit,
I'm with him. I'm going bullshit.
B Corps. Do you know what B Corps is?
B Corps is all being, as someone who is accredited by the Good Shopping Guide ethical thing, or top 200 company in the world, I think, for ethical practice.
God, you almost said another word there.
B Corp, it's just another thing to attach your PR to, isn't it? Really?
I mean, we're supposed to argue these things, but I kind of agree with that.
I agree with him.
Okay, fine.
TikTok.
Yeah, I mean, just for kids, isn't it? Whatever nonsense. Do you know the amount of energy you have to spend on social media to feed the engine, to feed this nonsense, to get nothing back from? Bullshit.
This week, our grubs have been mostly eating. There must be the glove glue guy was good, that he just did loads of videos with his son of what he could stick to his gloves. He makes a glue that makes goalkeepers' gloves better. You just need to come up with something silly that you do, like feed them different foods and then play them music and see what happens.
See what happens. Magic mushrooms.
Yeah,
So they come up with stuff.
Yeah.
Mentors.
I suppose they're quite good. Someone's got a better idea than yourself.
So unconvinced.
So we think that's business.
Someone giving me,
Well, I mean,
Have you ever had one yourself? No?
Well, I've got a wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably the same thing, to be fair.
Yeah, a boss.
Yeah.
Is most
someone above.
Above, exactly. I mean, that's the irony of the sexist conversation. I don't have a married friend who's not like not under the thumb, but certainly not in charge.
Has a better
I was
half.
going to say, I think
Better
it's
half.
probably I'll deal with that in a second. I think it's probably.
I'll deal with. He's terrified. I'm terrified of you. You say I'm terrified. I'll deal with you in a minute.
No, Andrew,
report.
I meant
Go
the
stand in the
comment.
corridor.
I meant the comment.
Yeah.
What I was going to say is, I think that wives are probably just less tactful than most mentors. Like when you're mentoring someone, I've done it a few times in the past. You have to find a way of telling them they're ridiculous without actually saying that's fucking ridiculous.
Not if you're an Australian mentor, you don't.
True. But I would
fucking
also,
say it how
to
it
answer
is.
your question, I think probably if you ask the wives, they wouldn't say they were in charge.
Yeah, they might not say it, but that's what
That's
true.
part of the tactic.
That's part of the tactic.
Might
That's
not
what
say
that's
it.
what real people in control do. We know they're in charge because we've tried to do stuff. We've tried to do stuff without permission, and it's gone pretty badly. They're terrifying when
That's
they get
just because you
upset.
make stupid decisions. That's not the same thing.
No, we don't give a shit, basically. So we don't even care if our wife went out all day, we'd be like, oh, that's nice, she's gone out all day. It's about time she had a bit of time on her own. You know what I mean? And like,
But
as a man, you go out on me.
You have not met my father.
No, I haven't.
If my mum goes out, she's not allowed out without him with her.
Well, things have changed.
Wow, things have changed.
Things have changed.
Yeah.
I would say the boots on the other, the heels on the other. Anyway, the high heels.
Just do the next one.
Instagram.
Once again, it's just another, social media nonsense. Just a lot of fuel to make not a lot.
You've got to get the mealworms dancing or something.
The thing is, dogs
I'm using it wrong.
dogs don't look at Instagram, and they can't therefore get into your product. Can you? It's funny that we buy. It's one of those things. It's like women buy cosmetics for they buy all the skincare and the stuff for their male partner. It's like, who buys the pet food? It's probably the mums generally. Is it? I know this is a ridiculous.
Sorry, no. I'm just thinking about my brother-in-law who had all his clothes, including pants and socks, bought for him by his mother until he met my sister. And now he has all his clothes.
That's pretty much my life.
Isn't that normal?
Isn't that normal?
You never actually buy your own clothes because somebody else.
Although I notice I'm wearing my clients.
I've got terrible taste apparently. So.
Okay, yes.
I've got a big up employment hero, my client. I put the socks on this morning and I was like, I like these socks. And they're my client. I didn't know my client had done socks. I don't even remember that happening, but they've got some my
founders'
wardrobe.
egos, business or bullshit?
Oh, they're probably bullshit.
Do you have an ego?
Yeah, well, everyone's got one, but you got to have the right amount or whatever. You've got to be able to listen to criticism about what you're doing.
I don't know if autistic people have egos. If you're autistic enough, I don't think you have an ego in the way we're meaning it.
Does that mean that you actually can even hear anyone though?
Yeah, I think it's a nice thing about them that they're not like the rest of us driven by our own sense of importance. They don't see it like that. But anyway, I've gone off one. All right, and the final, Russia.
Oh yeah, I wish Russia would get a grip of itself. And
get a grip, Russia,
and get a grip and throw that man out a window. So that's it really.
The word defenestration.
What? That's throwing out of a window. Yeah. How do you fucking know all these words? What's it called?
Defenestration.
Defenestration.
Everyone knows that one.
To throw somebody out a window.
And that's a Marxist word.
So you like people, people in the Soviet Union or whatever, they get defenestrated. It just defenestrated kind of means
it's political maneuver.
You get them removed, but it means throwing them out a window.
Wow. I have learned a lot today.
Yeah.
It's really conjugated as well. It's really useful.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's always good to have a Greek expert on the podcast, just in case we're trying to throw people out of windows. And there you have it. Well done. You scored 6,212 points, 6212. It's an excellent score. Thank you very much. It's been a real pleasure. Would you like to tell us about your product? Tell the world.
Plug Mr. Bug is what he's saying.
Mr. Bug.
Plug Mr. Bug. Brilliant. Yeah, well, we are Mr. Bug. Super healthy dog foods made with mealworm protein based treats. Give it a go.
They'll love the cheesy ones.
And look out for our new food that hopefully will be coming out soon.
So there you have it. That was this week's episode of Business Without Bullshit. And we'll be back with our quiz, Business or Bullshit, on Thursday. Until then.
Ciao.